If you want to find out about the Outlaw archetype, keep watching this video.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Carl Jung's archetype, the Outlaw. Okay, now this is very interesting because I'm also going to relate it to a brand. Okay, now you want to think of the Outlaw brand or the archetype as rebellious, right? They have a rebellious spirit, they have a rebellious nature. They don't want to conform. So you might think of them as a little bit against the mainstream, basically not following the social norms in any way, right? They're doing their own thing, they're creating their own path, they're blazing their own trail. I am the Outlaw archetype, as I've taken this quiz, you could say, many times. I can link it in the description. And it's very interesting because in our writing reality program, which if you are interested in that program, you know, we're starting on the 23rd, so get on it quick, okay? Don't waste time. Don't waste time. Get on it quickly, okay? It's going to be so much value. You have no idea, okay? So in that, right, Ivan, who I'm doing the event with, as well as Eddie, who's in the program, you know, all of us got the Outlaw archetype, very interestingly enough, right? So it seems to me that, you know, we're sort of generating this group of rebels in a sense, right? A group of outlaws, right? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that we're breaking the laws of the land, okay? Outlaw doesn't mean that you're getting in trouble. In school, you might have gotten in trouble, like getting into detention, right? Getting in trouble for speaking up or laughing in class or not following the rules in some way. However, it's not necessarily that you get into trouble with the law, right? You might internalize it. You might have a professional job, but inside you have this rebellious spirit or this nature. A great brand to signify this is something like Harley Davidson, right? Which is a perfect example of that outlaw or that bad boy kind of archetype. Another great example of the outlaw archetype as a brand would be like MTV. It's very jarring, it's very disruptive, right? If you think of disrupting culture, counterculture, it's very outrageous, very kind of in your face. Once you start to embody this archetype, you'll start to notice it transforming you and changing your life in some way. Now, the outlaw actually has a problem with opening up vulnerability, right? So that actually matches what I said in a previous video about my attachment style, okay? It's actually very interesting how, you know, we have these different maps, and as we overlap them, we find the similar pieces and the overlaps. As we overlap different maps, we start to see the things that stay consistent with all of them, and that's how you get clearer and clearer. You get more clarity on your character and who you're trying to be in this world, and how that will guide you towards the pathway of your success. Who's someone that kind of, well, I think a great example is also Miley Cyrus, right? She came into the industry and she kind of just like, I know, she's kind of outrageous. She broke the paradigm of like what everyone thought of like the Disney girl, right? She kind of purposefully, she went for that attention, right? She just went for it, and she used her, you know, you would say her sexuality to showcase that, look, I'm different than these other people. Actually, the thing about it is, right, why that openness of sexuality, I think it's related to the outlaw's need. The outlaw's need is liberation. The outlaw never wants to feel trapped. They never want to feel like they're trapped in one place. They're stuck, they're stagnant, they're not allowed to do something. They're being given rules, they're being told by a boss what to do, they're being told by others what to do, they're being given instructions. They do not like that. So if you are in a 9-to-5 job and you're working like that, I used to be in that space, right? I did a lot of internships where I didn't like being told what to do, honestly, right? I would much rather just explore a task, and eventually, you know, in that internship, a lot of internships that I've been to, even with the United Nations and such, I've been in very prestigious, you know, internships and a background in working with Action Aid and a lot of different NGOs and things like that, right? So even in that, I found that I was the one creating the different things for them, right? I was the one creating the campaigns. I was the one, drawing for them. I was the one planning it all out and creating the projects. Whenever someone gave me a task like, hey, do this or write tweets for this thing, I kind of felt this resistance inside of me like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't know why. It became this internal drive inside me that I had this issue with authority. And I think it's because of my own inner authority, right? I didn't have the self-control, so I was seeking this outside control. And also happens from childhood trauma, right? I got hit by a teacher when I was very young, like corporal punishment and all this kind of stuff that happened to me when I was very, very young. So I might have that in my subconscious. If you keep repressing and internalizing your rebellious nature after years and years and years and years, after a certain year, you're gonna crack. You're gonna just split open, be like completely go off the wall and do something wild that nobody ever expects you to do. They're gonna be like, what? Him? He did that? Whoa, right? That's the outlaw. And I have this feeling that I'm gonna be doing something in my future that's gonna shock the world, right? Shock my community, shock the world, shock everybody. And that's okay, because I've chosen that life, right? If you ain't about that outlaw life, don't go there, right? Don't be rebellious. Don't do things that, follow the rules, do everything in order. But if you're tapping into this rebellious spirit, I'm not talking about just trying to stir up trouble and trying to make, dangerous decisions happen all out of the blue. I'm talking about a calculated strategist, right? Who's looking at this much more long-term and against conformity. He's this non-conformist trailblazer who's paving their own path. And this again goes back to the whole Sigma male thing, right? So I think that the outlaw is such a potent archetype because they're not following the certain quote-unquote societal norms, right? Someone tells you don't do this, you can't do that, oh, you can't sing in this environment, oh, you can't do this in this way. There are certain rules that you have to attend to. No, they're the rule breakers. They're the rule makers. They're the game changers. This is what I want to really emphasize in this video. So they want liberation. They want freedom. At the end of the day, that is what drives them most. That is their biggest drive or motivation, is this feeling of freedom, whether it be financial freedom, spiritual freedom, emotional freedom, mental freedom, whatever it is, they need to feel that liberation. And that's why, again, I'm relating it to the sexuality element, because sexual liberation, right? It was a whole movement. So thinking about the outlaw and really understanding that this is that mentality of liberation. That's what they're driven by. They want to liberate themselves, and a free person frees others just like a hurt person hurts others, right? So if you liberate yourself, you're going to be liberating other people around you. You become the liberator from that. From the person who's the outlier to the person who actually people turn to. And that's the shift in your storyline slowly, right? It's like everybody doubted him. Everybody's kind of saying, oh, he's the bad guy. He's the mysterious guy in the corner. Like, don't go towards him. No, you don't want to mix with that guy. To the person that people go, oh, wait a minute, can I join your company? Oh, what you're doing was so cool. It's so trendy. I want to join, right? That's the shift. And that's kind of the shift that I noted throughout my life as I was getting more respected as, you would say, a rapper, a performer in a certain sense, but also like a cartoonist, and a coach, right? A consultant, a person that people look towards as flow state specialist. So I think it's very important for you to analyze your different archetypes. I know this video is primarily about the outlaw archetype. Again, I'm being a little bit selfish here in terms of these, right? But if you want to know more of them, I'll definitely let you know more about them. But again, this is my channel, so I'm gonna choose what to do with it at the end of the day. That's just my outlaw nature in me, right? I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do. At the end of the day, you can't tell me what to do. And I don't think anybody likes that unsolicited advice. You know, if someone comes to you and they're like, hey, do it this way. Hey, do you mind if I have some criticism for you? No, I actually do mind. Like, I don't need your criticism, right? That's just my own perception. You know what I mean? As an outlaw, I'm just like, I don't need to be told what to do. I already know. My internal compass already knows what to do next, right? My friend Ivan, he has a tattoo right here, right? He says, I know what's best for me. That's a perfect analogy of the outlaw, right? Tattoos, right? It's just like, it's such a counterculture thing, right? People are like, only back in the days, oh, only criminals had tattoos. Oh, wow, now everybody has them. Why? Because the outlaw made it happen. The counterculture shifted people out of that consciousness, okay? So this is what I'm talking about here, guys, okay? This is the outlaw spirit. Understand that the outlaw, what their main mission is they want to leave a mark. They want to leave a legacy behind. They want to be remembered. They want to be a timeless character, okay? Throughout time, they come back to you. Throughout the different eras that switch and millennia that come past, they will come back to your character, to your archetype, because you've constructed it as such a strong and valuable archetype that people depend on it, that people actually need that sovereign and eccentric nature that you have. It's very powerful, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I gave you more perspective about how to dive into the different archetypes. Carl Jung is a mastermind. I always say this, but he is absolutely an incredible, intelligent mind. So to learn from him, to understand that the archetype is the bridge from your conscious realm to the unconscious realm. Okay, it's what bridges it together. So as you create your own avatar and your own archetype, what are you doing? You are accessing a hidden part of you. You are bridging the gap. You're understanding that you have a shadow and a persona, right? And these different soul identities and things like this. And once you can be the bridge of those two realms, the metaphysical and the physical world, you start to come through as a very, very powerful being. And you'll notice this, right? When you get your subconscious mind very, very potent, you'll go into trance-like states, like let's say you drink a little bit, let's say you get into an altered state with some substance, right? You'll notice that your unconscious state takes over. The hidden part of you takes over. So if that hasn't been trained using subliminals or subconscious training, you're gonna go back to a self that you don't really like, right? Or maybe you do feel like yourself only when you're in those states and you can't pull it into the conscious realm. This is important too, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video, just giving you some new perspective here. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it today. Boom.